Hi, I'm Larry Martin with Martin Door Manufacturing. Congratulations on purchasing the Martin Fingershield door system, the world's finest and safest residential garage door. To take full advantage of all the features of Martin's quality and safety, the door must be installed correctly. This video, which you've already found, and these instructions, which you will find attached to a section in the door bundle and in the hardware box, tell you how to install the door correctly. Let me point out some important points. Warning, attention. Untrained or negligent installing, adjusting, and servicing of this door can be dangerous. The springs and all related parts can cause serious injury or death. If you're unsure, call a trained Martin door professional. And when you're winding or adjusting the springs, use only these professional winding bars or the tubes that we provide. Be careful. Now let's go install a door. You're about to see the installation of a Martin Fingershield garage door system similar to this. These installation instructions found with every Martin door tell you how to install the door in a quality and a safe manner. These tools are also necessary to install a Martin door in a quality and safe manner. We're going to install a Martin Fingershield door system with raised panels similar to these. Again, these instructions will tell you how to install the door safely as well as correctly. Read them. You'll see also that we want you to be safe. You'll see when I drill today, I'll be wearing safety glasses. Here's some other tools that you might want to have available. While not necessary, they will save you time. An impact wrench, some clamps, and some spacers. The door you're about to see installed is being installed in the Martin showroom. As you can see, the floor has been cleaned up. In a garage, it may not be this clean, but it's important to work again in a safe environment. So the first thing you should do before you begin the installation of the door is clean up the garage and move all clutter out of the way so that you don't trip. Now, let's see how this contractor's done. This door that we're going to install is a 16x7 raised panel door. The opening should be very close to that. This side is just under 7 foot, 83.5. In the middle, just slightly over 83.5. And on this side, it's 83 3/4. So the opening is 1/4 inch taller on the right side. We've measured the height. Now we're going to measure the width. And this opening is just under 16 foot 0. Now we know that the opening is 1/4 inch taller on the right side. But we don't know whether it's the floor or the top or the header that's out of level. Most headers are level. It's usually the floor. And this is level. So the 1/4 inch is in the floor. We have to take that into consideration when we install the door because the door must be level and the hardware must be level. The Martin Fingershield door system comes in 2 bundles. The door bundle and the hardware box. Everything is in these 2 bundles. Okay, notice how everything is neatly packed. All the hardware is galvanized. All the parts are in bags. These are the roller brackets. This is the bottom bracket with the cables already attached and curled. Galvanized springs. This is the new lock-on side bearing bracket. You'll see how that installs later. And angle mount. All Martin doors come now with angle mounting. And that's where we'll start. Now we're going to open the door bundle. Before we discard these angles that have protected the door while it's been shipping, some of it we might use later. Let me show you how. Cut a few pieces like I'm doing. And you can use them for spacers, or to flip pancakes, or many other things. You can use it as a sunshade. I've pre-cut some that we'll be using in the installation of this door. This is the top strut, which has also been used to protect the door while shipping. We'll attach it later. We'll now remove the stretch wrap, which has kept dust and dirt and water off the door. It's been easy so far, huh? Now I'm going to remove the shipping clip. There's 8 screws. This is the clip. And we'll save these screws for use later in the installation. We'll remove now the shipping clip from this end. And again, we'll save these screws for later in the installation. This top section on the bundle is actually the first section that will be installed. And we're going to use this section now and stand it temporarily in the opening to determine level and to determine our track location. Before we set this first section in the opening, we're going to install the Fingershield. This is done by taking one of the magic Martin Door corner angles, which were used in shipping, placing it under the door like this. That holds it up so we can snap the Fingershield on. Now we remove the shipping tape, and then we clip it on. Now remember those magic cardboard corner angles I told you about? We're going to use one again. We need to make sure that it's centered. I'm in about 1 inch on that side. I'm only in about 3/4 on this side. So, take the magic corner angle. We're going to use them again. 2 of them. This time we're going to place 2 of them on each side of the opening. There's 2 reasons for this. One, it will hold the door up slightly off the floor. Also, it'll hold the track assembly and the angle mount slightly up off the floor so that it's not sitting right down in the water. 2 on this side and 2 on this side. Before we place the 2 cardboard spacers on this side, remember that this side of the opening was low by 1/4 inch. And so we're going to place 2, 4 under this side. That will make this approximately level. Now we're ready to set the bottom section in the opening. We'll set it on the pieces of cardboard that we've put down. We're lapped approximately 3/4 on that side. And we're about 1.25 inches on that side, so we need to come this way about 1/4 inch. Okay, now if we've guessed right, our door panel will be level. Remember, we have 2 cardboard spacers on the left and 4 on the right. The top of the section, the underside of the header, is 61 3/8. And on the right side, 61 3/8 also. So our door is level. We'll leave these spacers here and we'll sit the angle mount on them, and they also then will be level. The angle mount is 1 3/4 inches wider than the edge of the door. We'll put a mark there by using a 1.5 inch board and by putting a mark 1/4 inch beyond the board. And we'll do the same to the other side. Before we install the angle mount, we will remove this section and put it back on the door bundle where we'll put hardware on it. Okay, these are the reverse angle shields. and they will angle mount the track on each side of the door. To do that, we'll sit the reverse angle shield on the cardboard spacer that we before determined was level. We will sit the edge of it right even with the line that we drew a moment ago. And remember to keep it plumb. And I like to use a clamp. Like so. And we'll repeat this on the other side with this reverse angle shield. On this side, we're setting the reverse angle shield on 4 cardboard spacers. Again, we're placing it even with the mark that we put on the jamb, and we'll clamp it in place. Double check to make sure that the reverse angle shields are 3.5 inches wider than the door. In this case, our door is 16 foot, 2 inches. We have 1, 2, 3.5. We're right on the money. We're going to drill holes on each side now with this 1/4 inch drill. Before we do that, we need to take some safety precautions, and you should too. Remember these safety glasses? I'm going to wear them before I drill. I'm going to do something else too. I love this ring, but when I'm drilling, it can be dangerous. Drills can catch it. So I'm going to remove it and put it in my pocket. My watch, and I'm going to remove it. And any other jewelry, when you're drilling or sawing, you should remove. Now we drill holes on each side. These are 5/16 washer head lags, magnetic socket. Careful not to tighten them too tight or they'll spin out. Now we can remove the clamp. Now we'll do the right side. And remove the clamp. Okay, let's put the hardware on the door. This is the #1 roller bracket and a hinge. Bottom bracket. Another hinge. Roller bracket. And this bottom bracket. The bottom bracket has a new lock-on safety feature which locks onto the end stile. Sometimes the rubber is in the way and won't let it do that, so the rubber needs to be trimmed slightly so that the lock-on bottom bracket will lock on. The bracket will now lock on the end stile. This makes it so if anyone ever tampers with the bracket, takes the fasteners out, the pressure from the spring system will keep it locked on. All the hardware will now be fastened with self-threading screws. Bottom bracket gets 3 fasteners. And the roller bracket and hinge gets 2. Don't remove the little push-in plugs. Self-threading screw will go right through it. Important to make sure this locks on. So let's test it again. It does. Important to use all 3 fasteners on the bottom bracket. See this? This shield will help keep fingers away. These are the vertical tracks. Notice that every Martin door comes with an oil bottle and a hemmed edge on the tracks, which is safer for fingers. On the left side, we'll bolt the vertical track in place. On the right side, we'll do that a little bit later. Put the 1/4 inch bolt through the track, through the adjustable slot and the flag angle. Gets 2 bolts at the top and 1 in each of the brackets. We're just tightening these finger tight. We'll do a final adjustment after the door's in place. Now we'll sit the bottom section in the opening. We want the rollers to catch the end of the track. We'll slide the right track over the rollers. Again, be careful not to catch the cable. And we'll fasten this side with the 1/4 inch bolts and flange nuts. Let me quickly show you another way to install the bottom section and track. Remember this tool? I call mine Hercules. And by using a little piece of bottom rubber, we both avoid skid row. Hercules will hold our door section in place while we install the track. Now we'll do the left track. Take the vertical track, slide it over the rollers, move the cable out of the way. Now we'll bolt the track on with 1/4 inch bolts and flange nuts. And we'll repeat this on the other side. Again, finger tight. We'll adjust this to a final position later. Okay, we're ready for the number 2 door section. Hey, we're rolling. Remove these cardboard strips. Now let me show you another way to install Fingershield. Remove the Fingershield shipping tape. And we'll snap the Fingershield in. Now we'll turn the section over. Keep the cardboard strips in so we don't scratch it. We're going to install the center hinges only. We have to be careful not to damage the Fingershield. So lean the section back. Center it as best you can, and then lean it forward. And now we'll hold it in place with locking pliers. And we'll do the same over on this side. We need to make sure that the sections are even with each other. This needs to go slightly to the left. That's about right. We'll fasten the hinge and the roller together using the number 2 roller bracket. And we can remove the locking pliers. pliers and we're ready for the number 3 section now. Okay, we've put the finger shield and 3 hinges on this section just like we did on number 2. Again, we have to be careful not to damage the finger shield. Lean the door back, center it, swing it up, and hold it in place with lucky pliers. Now install the number 3 roller brackets exactly like we did before. Line up the holes. This is the top panel. We remove the cardboard strips. Turn it over. This one is going to get a strut. This is the top roller bracket. It fastens on the door like this, with the adjustment like this. Put a 1/4 inch bolt down through with a nut on the underside. And another bolt down through. Okay, these are ready to go on the door now. We'll start by putting the center screw in the strut. Center the slotted hole on the vertical stile. Next, we'll put the roller bracket on. The roller bracket goes under the strut so that the fastener goes through the strut, through the roller bracket, and into the end stile. And last, this stile. And the top section is now ready to set in the opening. Okay, we'll set the top section in just like we have the others. Okay, we will center the section and hold it in place again with locking pliers. Now we'll fasten all the hinges. Notice how it's a little apart here, and you can squeeze it together. See how tight it is now? That's important so that the section doesn't open up any more than need be as it goes over the curb. Okay, now we'll install the track. This is the horizontal track. First, we'll temporarily bolt the back of the track to a position we think is approximately level with a 3/8 inch flathead bolt and flange nut. We'll take the front of the track, slide it over the roller with the horizontal angle on the outside of the reverse angle. Next, we'll bolt the horizontal angle to the reverse angle using the 3/8 bolt. The bolt comes from the inside through the outside. Next, we'll bolt the curved track to the flag angle using 1/4 inch bolts and these flange nuts. Again, just finger tighten. Okay, next we'll put on the lock-on side bearing bracket. It has a hook. The hook hooks onto the horizontal angle, rotate it up, slide it forward, and it locks on. The important part of this is if somebody tampers with this bearing bracket, when the springs are wound, the torque of the spring will cause it to lock on and it won't come flying off. Okay, I'm going to be drilling again, so on go the safety glasses. This bracket must be vertical, so I'm holding it vertical, and I'm going to drill 2 1/4-inch holes. Okay, we'll fasten this with 2 5/16 lag screws. Hold the bracket vertical. And check to make sure that it's in the right position. And it is. Before we tighten the track bolts down, we need to make sure that the horizontal track is level. This one is not, it's going uphill. So we take the bolt out that we put in temporary. And we move it down until it is level, right there. And then we will install the bolt again. This time we can tighten it down. Now we can tighten the rest of the bolts on the track. Starting at the bottom, push the track in until the door rests against the reverse angle shield. Tighten the bottom bolt first. Do the same at the top. Again, we're pushing it in until the door touches the reverse angle shield. Now we do the middle one last. Next, we need to make sure that the curve from the horizontal track lines up with the vertical track. Simply tap it until they do. What you're lining up is the back side. And then tighten the 1/4-inch bolts. Finally, we will tighten the 3/8 bolts at the top of the track. Okay, now we've already made sure that this horizontal track is level. And now we'll adjust the door into the reverse angle. Next, we fasten the side bearing bracket just like we did on the other side. Okay, now we can remove the locking pliers and adjust the top roller bracket. We want the top of the section to rest lightly against the header. Tighten the bolts. And we'll do the same on the other side. And now we're going to drill the holes for the center bearing bracket. I've already measured and found the distance from the top of the door to the center of the shaft on both sides is 8 1/4 inches. So I'll measure up 8 1/4, and I know the holes in the center bearing bracket are 2 inches apart, so then I'll make marks 2 inches apart. And then I'll drill 1/4-inch holes. Okay, now we're going to assemble the spring torsion assembly. This one with the bearing already on it and the coupler goes on the left side facing the door looking out. First we'll put the spring on. It'll be the black coated spring. And then the spring anchor bracket. Now we do the same thing for the other side. And we need to turn this around. This will bolt onto the coupler. Again, first we put on the spring. Notice the spring that goes on the right side has a color code of red on the winding cone, while the cable drum has the color code black. On the left side, the winding cone is colored black, while the cable drum has a color code of red. Now we're going to install the left half of the torsion spring assembly. We do this by sliding the tube through the bearing bracket. And then we'll anchor the center bearing bracket to the holes that we just drilled. And now we're going to fasten the spring anchor bracket to the side bearing plate. These bolts go right through the holes on the side. And we tighten it down. It's a lock-on nut. Man, I hate it when that happens. Next, we need to center the torsion tube. We'll leave it sticking out about 2 inches. Right there. Next, we'll take the cable up behind the rollers and onto the cable drum. Put it through the slot and wind it away from you. It's easier to tighten these screws down while it's around on this side, and we'll rotate it around after we tighten them up. After the set screw engages the tube, it should be turned about 1/2 turn. You pull the cable tight, make sure that it's seated in the groove, and again we'll put on a set of locking pliers to hold the cable from unwinding while we do the other side. Okay, now we'll do the right hand half of the torsion assembly. By the way, we recommend doing it this way, not trying to bring it up in one piece. The tube goes through the bearing. Notice we've already removed this bolt from the end of the tube, so the tube can easily slide into the coupler. Now we'll put the bolt back in the coupler and tighten it down. Notice there's a little bit of play in the coupler. That's designed that way for any misalignment. Now from the bolt side, tightening into the nut, We want to bring this very, very snug. Now let me show you a lot easier way to install the cable drum. Draw the cable behind the rollers as we did before. Before you hook the cable onto the drum, slide the spring assembly out of the way. See, now you have access to the bolts, and it's easier to slide the cable into the groove. Slide the cable into the groove, wind the drum, make sure that it stays in the groove tight. Twist the cable tight with one hand and then tighten it with the other. Now notice we started on the left side first. That wasn't by mistake, that was on purpose. The reason for it is when you tighten these set screws against the round torsion shaft, they tend to rotate the cable drum slightly on the shaft. And when you do the left side first and then finish with the right drum tends to rotate clockwise like this. That's resisted by the cable, and it's easier to keep the cables with equal tension. When the set screw engages the shaft, go another half turn. Now you take the spring assembly, slide it behind the cable drum and through the holes, and put the nuts on. And tighten them down. It's a lot easier way to do it. Okay, now we're going to wind the springs. This is the point where you need to be very careful. We're going to wind it 8 to 8.5 turns. We'll start off with 8. First turn by hand. One should only use these professional bars. Don't use screwdrivers or anything else. Now we've got something to help you if you lose count. Put a stripe on the spring. That number of spirals tells us how far we've wound it. Here's 1 spiral, 2 spirals, so we wound it 2 turns so far. We're heading for 8. Turn number 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. Let's just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I'm already at 8. See, that's why we have that. Before we tighten it down, we're going to move the winding cone down the shaft just slightly to give a little space to the spring wire. Do that by just tapping it and tightening down the set screws. As soon as the set screw engages the tube, go 1/4 turn more. Once you've tightened the set screws, red safety caps go over. Along with this warning tag, it lets anybody know that this is not something to touch. Okay, now with one spring wound, we can remove the locking pliers and wind this spring. And we'll rotate this 1 turn by hand. There's 2.
7. 8. And once again, we'll move the spring slightly down the tube and tighten the set screws. After they touch the tube, 1/4 turn. And finally, the red safety caps. Let's see how this door is balanced. Oh, right on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Now we're going to dress up a few things. Remember when we lined the back side of the track? We now need to dress up the front side of the track. It's slightly off. Let's take a pair of pliers, bend them until they align with each other. That's good. Next, we'll remove the little cardboard strips that we set the track and the door on. Now we're going to brace the back of the track. What we try to do is make sure that the track is parallel to the edge of the door. And it is. So we will just simply put a brace on whatever hole works. And the first one works. Double check to make sure we tighten this down good, and we did. Now we'll repeat the same thing on the other side. And it's a good thing we double check because that one hadn't been tightened. Tie a knot in one end of the rope, put it down through the bracket, pull it up like that, and on the other end, this clamp bolts to the track. For a more professional installation, where the door rubs the reverse angle shield as it's coming down, take some paraffin or some candlestick and put a light coat of wax all the way down the reverse angle shield. Also, up here on the header, a light coat of wax where the door comes to rest against the header. Also, using the same paraffin wax, put a light coat of wax along the edge of the finger shield, like this. Now we're going to oil the door. Using the Martin oil bottle, we'll oil the roller shafts and the hinges through the little hole that's provided for the oil. We don't need any lubrication on the roller itself, just the roller shaft and the hinge. Also, we'll put a bead of oil across the top of the spring and a little bead of oil on the cable drum. That will lubricate the cable and keep the spring wire lubricated. And the cable drum. And we'll repeat this on every roller and every hinge. When we're finished, we'll put the oil bottle back on the track. This door is now completed. Let's take a look outside.
Let me show you how to install a Martin spring latch lock system. There's a set of instructions inside. Follow those. And the first thing you need, of course, is a couple of holes in your door. If you're lucky, these holes have already been drilled. If not, these two holes are .375 and this one's .875.
With the holes drilled, simply take the T-handle and slide it through the holes. Now using these screws, insert them through these holes. And tighten it down with the Phillips driver. Slide these spacer washers on. And the swivel with the cable slides on next. And finally, this push nut. Now we'll attach the latch and striker at the side. Next, you install the spring latch. This is the spring latch, and it installs here right over the number 1 hinge. Remove the first screw. And there's already holes provided. Use 3 fasteners. And finally, install a striker. And you want to adjust the striker with the door resting against the floor so the striker catches the top of the spring latch. Finally, you connect the cable using this adjustable chain. Okay, let's see how we did. Whoa! Look who's here. Sorry, Dave, we got to clean up now. But what if you have clearance problems? Well, Martin has an 8-inch low clearance kit and also track extensions, depending on what you need. Normal clearance above the top of the door is 12 inches. Sometimes you don't have that. With Martin track systems, we make that easy. We have many different clearances available. Page 20 of the instruction sheet tells about one of them. It tells how to install a door with 8 inches of clearance. Let me show you how. First, cut 3 3/4 inches off the bottom of the vertical track and the reverse angle shield. Now we've installed the regular horizontal track and the vertical track. This is the upper low clearance track. It sits on top of the horizontal track like this, and normally it fastens to the 3rd hole back of the horizontal angle. Next, you bolt the back of the low clearance track to the vertical angle. On a normal clearance door, the top roller bracket goes this way. On low clearance, you turn it over this way, and the roller carrier then turns around and goes up tight against the door. You want to have the bolts come up through so that you'll be able to tighten them down if there's a strut. Then it installs in the low clearance track like this. Always use all 3 fasteners. Finally, push the top of the door against the header, pull the bracket back tight, and tighten it down. Remove the locking pliers. Let's see what kind of clearance we got this in on. Now the top of the door is normally 7 foot 1/2 inch. And above the top of the door, we're in just a little under 8 inches. Now let's look at this measurement. Remember, this door is 7 foot 1/2 inch tall, and the highest point of the door is only 5 inches above that. So you can put an operator above this door now, above its highest point of trajectory, and the whole installation will only take 8 inches, including the operator. Here's the problem. So what do you do about that? The track's already installed and now it's in the way. With Martin track extensions, it's easy. Take a 2-inch extension all the way up to a 7-inch extension. Unbolt your horizontal track, raise it 2 inches or 7 inches, and then you've raised the height of the horizontal track, and now you clear the cabinets. Thanks, Dave. Now, what if you have an opener to install? First, remove the pull rope, because with openers they can be dangerous. And then, every steel door that has an operator needs a reinforcing strut across the top. Also, the stile needs to be reinforced, and that's done with the operator reinforcing angle. And you install it like this. It goes over the stile, over the hinges. And then the bolt on the operator, you put a nut on the bolt first, and then the bolt goes through the hole, and another nut. And these 2 nuts then are tightened down together on the operator angle. Like that. Notice that these holes are also pre-punched in the operator angle and in the stile in case you need a vault release. When you reinforce the door properly, it will operate up and down without problems for a long, long time. There you go. That's how you do it. When you're finished, take these instructions and put them back in the packet on the back of the door for future reference. And if you have any problems, call your local dealer. Or you can write us at this address and we'll be glad to help.